Random House Audio presents Deeper Than the Dead by Tami Hoag. Read for you by Kirsten Potter.
My hero is my dad. He is a great person. He works hard, is nice to everyone, and tries to help people.
His victim would have screamed if she could have. He had seen to it she could not open her mouth. There would have been terror in her eyes. He had made certain she could not open them. He had rendered her blind and mute, making her the perfect woman. Beautiful, seen and not heard. Obedient. He had immobilized her so she could not fight him.
Sometimes he helps me with my homework because he is good at math and science. Sometimes we play catch in the backyard, which is really fun and cool. But he is very busy. He works very hard.
Her uncontrollable trembling and the sweat that ran down the sides of her face showed her terror. He had locked her inside the prison of her own body and mind, and there would be no escape. The cords stood out in her neck as she strained against the bindings. Sweat and blood ran in thin rivulets down the slopes of her small, round breasts.
My dad tells me no matter what, I should always be polite and respect people. I should treat other people the way I would like to be treated.
She had to respect him now. She had no choice. The power was all his. In this game, he always won. He had stripped away all of her pretense, the mask of beauty, to reveal the plain, raw truth, that she was nothing, and he was God. It was important for her to know that before he killed her.
My dad is a very important man in the community.
It was important that she had time to reflect on that truth. Because of that, he wouldn't kill her just yet. Besides, he didn't have the time.
My dad, my hero.
It was nearly 3 o'clock. He had to go pick up his child from school. 5 days later, Tuesday, October 8th, 1985.
You suck, Crane.
Tommy Crane sighed and stared straight ahead. Dennis Farman leaned over from his desk, right across from Tommy's, his fat face screwed up into what he probably thought was a really tough look. Tommy tried to tell himself it was just a stupid look. He tried not to think about the fact that Dennis Farman was bigger than he was, a whole year older than he was, and just plain mean.
You suck donkey dicks,
Farman said, laughing to himself like he thought he was brilliant or something. Tommy sighed again and looked at the clock on the wall above the door. 2 more minutes. Wendy Morgan turned around in her seat and looked at him with frustration.
Say something, Tommy. Tell him he's a dork. Say something, Tommy, Farman parroted, making his voice really high like a girl's. Or let your girlfriend talk for you. He doesn't have a girlfriend,
Cody Roche, Farman's scrawny toady, chimed in.
He's gay. He's gay, and she's a lesbo.
Wendy rolled her eyes.
Shut up, cockroach. You don't even know what that means. Yes, I do. Because you are.
Tommy watched the clock tick 1 minute closer to freedom. At the front of the room, Miss Navarre walked back to her desk from the door with a yellow note in her hand. If someone had tortured him, held fire to his feet, or stuck bamboo shoots under his fingernails, he would have to admit he was kind of in love with Miss Navarre. She was smart and kind and really pretty, with brown eyes and dark hair tucked behind her ears. After school, Tommy and Wendy walked away from Oak Knoll Elementary School and toward the park. You have to stand up for yourself, Tommy, Wendy insisted, blue eyes flashing. She had long, wavy blonde hair like a mermaid's, which she was always wearing in the styles of rock stars Tommy had never heard of. "What if he went after me?" she asked. "What if he tried to hit me or kidnap me?" Tommy frowned. "That's different. That's you. Sure, I'd try to save you. That's what a guy is supposed to do. It's called chivalry, like in the Knights of the Round Table or Star Wars." They turned off the sidewalk and onto a trail that cut through Oak Woods Park. It was a big park, with part of it clipped and cleared and set up with picnic pavilions and a bandstand and playground. The rest of it was more wild, like a forest with simple trails cut through it. A lot of kids wouldn't cut through the park because there were stories about it being haunted and homeless weirdos living in it, and someone claimed they once saw Bigfoot. But it was the shortest way home, and he and Wendy had been going this way since they were in the 3rd grade. Nothing bad had ever happened. Suddenly, behind them, came a blood-curdling war cry and what sounded like wild animals crashing through the woods. "Crane sucks! Run!" Tommy yelled. Dennis Farman and Cody Roche came leaping over a fallen log, their faces red from shouting. Tommy grabbed Wendy's wrist and took off, dragging her along behind him. Soon, Farman and Roche were catching up to them, their eyes bugging out of their heads like a gargoyle's. Their mouths were wide open. "This way!" Tommy yelled, veering off the trail. Wendy looked back, yelling, "Fart man! Jump!" Tommy shouted. They went over the edge of an embankment and flew through the air. All the colors of the forest whirled past Tommy's eyes like a kaleidoscope as he rolled until he finally came to a stop on a soft mound of dirt. He lay still for a moment, holding his breath, waiting for Dennis Farman to jump on him. But he could hear Dennis moaning loudly somewhere behind him. Slowly, Tommy pushed himself up on his hands and knees. The ground he was on had been turned over recently. It was soft and damp and crumbly, like someone had dug it up with a shovel, like someone had buried something. Or somebody. His heart jumped into the back of his throat as he raised his head and came face to face with death. At first, all Tommy could see was that the woman was pretty. She looked peaceful, like in The Lady of the Lake. Her skin was pale and kind of blue. Her eyes were closed. Then, slowly, other things came into focus. Blood that had drizzled down her chin and dried, a slash mark across one cheek, ants marching into and out of her nostrils. Tommy's stomach flipped over. "Holy shit!" Dennis exclaimed as he came to stand beside the grave. Cody Roche, dirt on his face, glasses askew, screamed like a girl, bolted, and ran back the way they had come. Wendy was as white as a sheet as she stared at the dead woman, but, as always, she had her wits about her. She turned to Dennis and said, "You have to go call your dad." Dennis wasn't listening to her. He got down on his hands and knees for a closer look. "Is she really dead?" "Don't touch her," Tommy snapped as Dennis reached out a grubby finger to poke at the woman's face. Suddenly, a dog stepped out from some bushes on the other side of the body and growled deep in its throat. None of them moved. The dog was mean-looking, white with a big black spot around one beady eye and over the small ear. The dog moved forward. The kids moved backward. "He's protecting her," Tommy said. "Maybe he killed her," Dennis said. "Maybe he killed her and buried her like a bone, and now he's back to eat the body." Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the dog stepped back into the bushes and was gone. In the next second, a man in a sheriff's deputy's uniform appeared at the top of the bank the kids had tumbled over. He looked like a giant looking down at them.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?